I'd gone down to the basement server room around 11:45 to check on a slow backup job. 14 floors above me, the building was almost completely dark except for my desk lamp on 10 and whatever lights security kept on downstairs. I liked the night shift for exactly that reason. Nobody around. Nothing to manage except machines. The elevator doors were already closing when a hand caught them. They slid back open for a man in a gray jacket, laptop bag slung over one shoulder. 50, maybe. I stepped back to make room. He stepped in without looking at me and pressed 9. I pressed 10 already. 2 floors apart. Close enough that the silence between us didn't feel like it needed filling. The doors shut. The elevator started up, and for seconds later it slammed to a stop hard enough that I grabbed the rail with both hands. Not a slow deceleration. A stop like something below us had simply let go. The numbers above the door sat frozen between 4 and 5. Great, I said, mostly to myself, and reached for the intercom panel. A security guard picked up almost immediately, said he had the alert already, maintenance was on the way, 20 to 30 minutes out this late at night. Standard line. I'd heard some version of it before, years ago, a different building, a different elevator that fixed itself in 11 minutes flat while I stood there bored out of my mind. I looked over at the man to say something about our luck, the kind of comment two strangers make to each other in a situation like this. That's when I noticed his laptop bag had slid slightly off his shoulder, and instead of adjusting it, he just let it hang there off-center, like he hadn't registered it moving at all. "You work on 9?" I asked. "Something like that," he said. I waited for him to add anything. He didn't. He was facing the doors, not me, jaw tight, breathing slow, and even through his nose in a way that didn't match a man who'd just been jolted to a sudden stop in a stopped elevator. I checked my phone. No signal, which tracked we were somewhere in the shaft between floors. I put it away and told myself this was nothing. 20 minutes, maybe less. I'd waited out worse. Above us, faint, I heard something. Footsteps, slow, on what I guessed was the 5th floor landing, directly over our heads. The man's eyes moved up toward the ceiling of the elevator car. Just his eyes. Nothing else about him moved at all. "Building's supposed to be empty tonight," I said. He looked back down, finally meeting my eyes for the first time since the doors had closed. "Not completely," he said. I laughed a little, the kind of laugh you use when you want a comment to have been a joke and you're giving the other person a chance to confirm that. He didn't laugh back. He didn't say anything else either, just went back to facing the doors, jaw still tight, breathing still that same slow, deliberate rhythm. I told myself he was probably just as unsettled by being stuck as I was, and some people get quiet and strange when they're anxious instead of talkative. That was a reasonable explanation. I held on to it. About 10 minutes passed. The intercom crackled again, and the same guard's voice came through, said maintenance had just arrived in the lobby, that they were heading to the electrical room to check the elevator controls. Shouldn't be more than another 10 or 15 minutes now. I felt something in my chest loosen slightly. An actual number, an actual person walking toward an actual fix. That felt like real progress. I said something to the man about it, told him it sounded like we'd be moving again soon. He nodded, still facing the doors, and said, "That's good," in a tone that didn't sound like it meant anything at all, flat in a way that made the words feel disconnected from whatever he was actually thinking. Another few minutes passed in silence. I checked the time. 12:41. We'd been stuck almost an hour now, longer than the estimate, but delays happen, I told myself, especially at this hour with a skeleton crew running the building. The footsteps came again from above us, closer this time, like they'd moved from the 5th floor, landing down toward the elevator shaft itself. Slow, deliberate steps, then nothing. The man's eyes moved up again, just like before, tracking the sound before it stopped. "Is someone up there with the maintenance guy?" I asked. He was quiet for a second too long before answering. "Depends what you mean by with." I didn't understand the answer, and I told him that, more directly this time, asked what exactly he meant. He turned his head slightly toward me, not fully, just enough that I could see the side of his face in the dim emergency lighting. You said the building's supposed to be empty, he said. I said not completely. That's still true. Before I could ask anything else, the intercom crackled a third time. Different voice this time, not the guard from before. Younger, faster, clearly stressed. Sir, we've got a problem with the electrical room. We're going to need a few more minutes. Please stay calm and stay where you are. The man exhaled, slow, through his nose, and for the first time since the doors had closed, he smiled. Not at me. At the doors themselves, like something on the other side of them had just confirmed exactly what he'd been expecting to hear. I stood there staring at him, trying to figure out what I just watched happen on his face, and telling myself it could have been nothing, a nervous smile, a tick, a reaction to relief that just looked wrong to me because I was already on edge. I wanted that to be true badly enough that I almost convinced myself of it. Then he set his laptop bag down on the floor of the elevator, slow and deliberate, and unzipped the top pocket. I don't know exactly what I expected. My whole body tensed anyway, weight shifting back toward the corner of the car without any conscious decision to move. He pulled out a phone, not his own it looked like, an older model in a case that didn't match anything else about him, and held it up so I could see the screen. It was a photo. A hallway I recognized immediately, because it was the hallway outside my own office on the 10th floor. My desk, my monitor, my jacket still draped over the back of my chair. Time-stamped 11 minutes ago. You should really lock your screen when you step away, he said, in that same flat voice, like he was making an observation about the weather. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. My mind was doing the math, trying to figure out how a photo of my own desk, taken after I'd already left it, could exist on a phone belonging to a man who'd been standing in this elevator with me the entire time. Unless he hadn't been in here the entire time I thought he had. Unless the 4 seconds before the elevator jolted to a stop had been enough for someone else or something else to already be exactly where they needed to be. The intercom crackled again, the younger voice, more urgent now. Sir, we're showing a second party accessed the electrical room approximately 15 minutes ago using a maintenance badge that was reported lost last week. Please remain calm. We're contacting police. The man looked at the intercom speaker, unbothered, then back at me. He put the phone away, zipped the bag closed, and picked it back up, slinging it over his shoulder like we were about to step out onto a completely ordinary floor. They're slow tonight, he said, but they'll get here eventually. I pressed myself as far back into the corner of that elevator as the space allowed, which wasn't far, 4 feet at most between us, nowhere to go, no door to open, nothing except a stalled box hanging somewhere in the dark between floors 4 and 5, and a man who had clearly, deliberately wanted to end up in here with me the entire time. I don't remember deciding to move. I just remember my back hitting the corner rail hard enough to hurt, and my hand finding my phone in my pocket even though I already knew there was no signal. Some instinct reaching for it anyway because it was the only thing that felt like it belonged to the ordinary world I'd been standing in 20 minutes earlier. He didn't come at me. That's the part that still doesn't sit right even now. He just stood there, laptop bag back over his shoulder, watching me with an expression that wasn't angry or excited or anything I could name. Just patient, like he had nowhere else to be and no reason to hurry. You don't have to do anything, he said. I'm not going to touch you in here. Too many cameras. Too many people who'll see the footage eventually. I asked him, my voice not sounding like my own, what he wanted. He tilted his head slightly, like the question genuinely required some thought. I wanted to know what it felt like, he said. Being close enough. Long enough. That's all tonight was. The intercom cracked to life again, the younger voice almost shouting now, telling us police had arrived on the ground floor, that maintenance had isolated the issue and the elevator would be moving within a minute, to please stay calm. The man nodded slowly, like this too had been expected, part of a plan he'd already walked through in his head before tonight started. He stepped back from me, toward the doors, put both hands loosely at his sides and waited. The elevator jolted once, then began to rise, slow and mechanical, the numbers above the doors finally climbing again. 4, 5. Neither of us said anything else. I stood pressed into that corner the entire way up, watching him, and he watched the doors, patient the whole time, like none of this had cost him anything at all. The doors opened on the ground floor to 2 police officers, weapons not drawn but hands resting near them, and the younger security guard standing behind them, pale, staring at both of us like he wasn't sure which one of us was actually in danger. The man stepped out first, calm, unhurried, and put his hands up before anyone even asked him to. They arrested him in the lobby without incident. He didn't resist, didn't say anything else, just let them cuff him and lead him out to a car waiting at the curb, calm the entire time, the same unbothered expression he'd worn in the elevator. The police told me later that he'd used a maintenance badge stolen from an actual employee weeks earlier to access the building overnight, disabled the elevator controls manually from the electrical room before I'd even gotten in, then rode down to the basement specifically to catch that elevator with me in it. He'd been inside the building, watching, for almost 2 hours before any of it started. They never fully explained why me, specifically, out of everyone who worked late in that building. When I asked, the detective just said some people pick targets for reasons that don't make sense to anyone except them, and that I shouldn't spend too much time trying to find logic in it. I gave my statement, went home around 4 a.m., and didn't sleep at all. I quit that job about 6 weeks later, not because of any one specific thing, just because I couldn't make myself get back in an elevator in that building again. Couldn't stop glancing at the numbers above the door every time I got in one anywhere, waiting for them to stop moving. I still don't know what he meant by wanting to know what it felt like. I've turned that sentence over more times than I can count, and I still don't have anything close to an answer for it. The police never found anything connecting him to anyone else. No prior record involving anything like this. No explanation beyond his own silence once the questioning started. Some nights, waiting for an elevator anywhere, any building, I catch myself checking who else is standing near the doors before they close. I tell myself it's nothing. I know better than that now.